Hello, my name is Empress Elizabeth Amelia Eugene of Austria, but you may call me Empress Sissy. I was born December 24th, 1837, in Bavaria, Germany, in the city of Munich. I was the fourth child born to Duke Maximilian and Duchess Ludovica of the House of Whistlebach. When I was 16 years old, I married my then 23-year-old cousin, Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria, on April 24th, 1854, and was then crowned Empress Consort of Austria. The funny thing was, I wasn't supposed to have been Empress. No, that honor was actually supposed to have gone to my older sister, Helena. It had all been arranged by my mother and her sister, Princess Sophie. Now, I honestly don't know why Franz chose to marry me instead. Perhaps he thought I was more beautiful, perhaps he wanted somebody younger. I believe he wanted to stick it to his overbearing, controlling mother, who was once again my aunt and now my mother-in-law. Despite all this, we were married for 44 years, in which we had 4 children. We had 3 daughters, Sophie, Gisela, and Marie, and 1 son, Rudolph, Crown Prince of Austria. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law would not allow me to raise them as my own, opting instead to taking over their development. Tragically, I lost my first daughter, Sophie, to an illness when she was 2. And my son, Rudolph, committed suicide when he was 30. As you probably can tell, I'm still not over it. I felt very out of place with the royal life. I really enjoyed my privacy, and I didn't really like attention all that much. But when I became Empress, every day was filled with unwanted attention. And although Franz practically worshipped the ground I walked on, I couldn't bring myself to love him in that same way. Of course, me and my mother-in-law did not get along at all. Not only did she take my children away from me, but she tried to jeopardize me and Franz's marriage, not once, but several times, just so that I could be forced to leave. And all of this was even before my son was born. But anyway, I loved poetry. I would write it a lot. And I also liked to travel. I would travel the empire with a couple of my ladies in waiting, no police entourage, and always in disguise. And as my beauty was the first thing that a lot of people noticed about me, I would spend hours doing exercise regimens. And from my beauty routines. Actually, speaking of traveling and such, on one of my travels, I had actually integrated Hungary into the Austrian Empire with the Austro-Hungary Ausgleich of 1867. And that in turn had me and Franz crowned King and Queen of Hungary June 8th of that same year. I had already stated before that I enjoyed to travel, but I didn't really get into traveling until after the death of my son. Uh, for me, it wasn't just about going on tours around the empire. It was my way of escaping palace life. Uh, the thing was, I wanted no police entourage or protection when I went on these trips because after my son's suicide, I became very depressed. So much so that I must admit I had wished death upon myself many a times. And I would go on these trips in the hopes that somehow, somewhere, something bad would happen to me. Unfortunately, I would have gotten my wish on September 10th, 1898. I was 6 years old, and I had spent a few days in Geneva, Switzerland. Now, I had arrived with a lady in waiting, and I was in disguise under a pseudonym. But, as always, someone found out that I was in town and told everyone. One of those people who knew was a man by the name of Luigi Luciani, an anarchist who was originally in Switzerland to assassinate a young man by the name of Prince Henry of Orleans. But for whatever reason, Prince Henry had cancelled his trip to Geneva. And since I was there, he considered, well, the royal's a royal. So, to make a long story short, Luciani stabs me in the chest with a triangle file, and I die from internal bleeding shortly after the medics were called. Well, I mean, it's not all that bad, though. After my death, I was immortalized in numerous documentaries and movies. And the people of my empire loved me, both in life and in death. I was even called the People's Empress. Oh, there's one movie about me that's very popular from Austria in 1955, and it stars a young Remy Schneider as me. And also, in the 90s, someone made a musical about my life, simply known as Elizabeth. And by what I have witnessed, they're still on YouTube and they're very, very popular. So you're free to watch them if you want. I can't, or don't. I can't stop you. Oh, ich brauche eine Psychotherapeutin. Oh, im Ernst. Das ist ein Hilferuf. Auf Wiedersehen!